The Lotus Sutra, Chapter 7, The Apparitional City. And then the Tathagata Mahabhijnana Bibi acceded to the request made by all the great Brahmas from the 10 directions and the 16 princes. He then immediately turned 3 times the Dharma wheel of 12 spokes that no Shramanas, Brahmins, Devamaras, Brahmas, or any other being in the world could turn. He taught, "This is suffering. This is the origination of suffering. This is the cessation of suffering. And this is the path that leads to the cessation of suffering," i.e., the 4 Noble Truths. He also extensively taught the Dharma of the 12-linked chain of dependent origination, saying, "Conditioned states are dependent on ignorance. Consciousness is dependent on conditioned states. Name and form are dependent on consciousness. The 6 sense fields are dependent on name and form. Contact is dependent on the 6 sense fields. Feelings are dependent on contact. Craving is dependent on feelings. Grasping is dependent on craving. Becoming is dependent on grasping. Birth is dependent on becoming. And old age, illness, death, anxiety, sorrow, suffering, and distress are dependent on birth. When ignorance ceases, then conditioned states cease. When conditioned states cease, then consciousness ceases. When consciousness ceases, then name and form cease. When name and form cease, then the 6 sense fields cease. When grasping ceases, then becoming ceases. When becoming ceases, then birth ceases. When birth ceases, then old age, illness, death, anxiety, sorrow, suffering, and distress cease." When the Buddha explained this Dharma to the great assembly of the Devas and humans, at that time 600 myriads of kotis of nayutas of people, because they were not attached to any existent thing, became free of all corruption. All of them perfected profound meditations, the 3 sciences, the 6 transcendent powers, and were endowed with the 8 liberations. When he taught the Dharma for the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th time, thousands of myriads of kotis of nayutas of sentient beings, equal to the sands of the Ganges River, who were not attached to any existent thing, became free of all corruption. Innumerable, immeasurable, incalculable Shravakas followed in their turn. At that time, the 16 princes, who were still young, renounced household life and became Shramaneras. All their faculties were sharp and their wisdom was penetrating. They had paid homage to hundreds of thousands of myriads of kotis of Buddhas, practiced the pure path of discipline and integrity, and sought highest, complete enlightenment.